After 4 generations and 2 handhelds, we finally get the most anticipated console, the PlayStation 5. And 4 years later, we finally got the slim model. We're basically halfway through the console's lifespan because it's obviously the next console will be in 2027 at least, or 2028. And Sony already said they're working on the PlayStation 6. Even before it was announced, it was very obvious that PlayStation 5 is the winner of the console wars because at this point Sony is the dominant of console market. Xbox basically shoots themselves in the leg every time, and the Xbox Series X or S might be the last console they do, but we'll see in the future for that. And as for Nintendo, well, they're too niche to be a competitor against Sony, because Nintendo can't compete against Sony when it comes to consoles, but they obviously can compete and beat them in handhelds. But that's a story for another time. Now that the PlayStation 5 is here, is it worth it? Or should you skip it? The state of play of PlayStation 5 unfortunately didn't start well because, while it was great, but they started with the PlayStation 5 version of GTA 5, like everybody started with GTA 5 and then they announced a PS5 version of it at the beginning of the state of play as well, and it didn't really look any different. Like so far the only difference is GTA Plus subscription, but anyway, the games that were announced were obviously great. Between many games like Sackboy, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Demon's Souls remake, and Astro's Playroom. So the PlayStation 5 launch was way, and I mean way better than the PlayStation 4 launch. The discs that are used are Ultra HD Blu-ray. However, this time the console was also released in two different forms, the disc model and the digital model. The digital model looks amazing, design-wise I mean. But the disc model, while it's almost the same, but unfortunately, you can obviously tell that the disc model was designed later because of how it looks like a pregnant woman at the bottom, or like a tumor. But nevertheless, the design itself, it's actually very weird, but also very cool. It reminds me a lot of those fake designs you see in the late 2000s, like the PlayStation 4, Xbox 720 and Wii 2. The console actually is backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games. Now this is actually a really great thing, and I'm not talking about physical games or digital ones, I'm talking about both. So that's really awesome. Like so far from what I know, only 10 games don't work on the PlayStation 5. A lot of them are probably games that you will never heard of them, or games that you don't really care about them. Like for example, Afro Samurai 2. This is one of the worst games you'll ever play, so you probably don't want to play this one. And then there's Hitman Go. This is a mobile game, so who cares? And there's also PT. This one could have worked actually, but unfortunately because of Konami, it was removed and made impossible. Well, it's a shame, but they also removed the ability to download it or re-download it. So you're not really missing anything if you didn't have it already. And new to the console is SSD. PlayStation 5 games require an SSD, which is really cool, while PlayStation 4 games can be installed in normal hard drives, but installing them on SSDs will make them much better and faster. This is a really cool feature, but not really exactly unique for the PlayStation 5, because it's very obvious that SSDs will be a mandatory thing for consoles and PC. Like some PC games already require an SSD, like The Last of Us. Regarding the controller, it's actually a wonderful controller. Unfortunately, it looks great and feels great, but it's not well designed from the inside. They break a lot easily, like drifting is common, and lots of buttons get broken easily, so that's a shame really. But it's still the same controller, even though it's called DualSense. It's actually the first DualShock. Like not much has changed. There's haptic feedback, which is basically an updated vibration feature, but other than that, it's really nothing special. Like it's cool of course, but you're not really missing much. And now regarding the backwards compatibility, you obviously know that the PlayStation 4 works, but PlayStation 3 to 1 don't. It does through PlayStation Plus, which I'll talk about it one day. But anyway, while all these features are great and all, what's important right now is the games. Unfortunately, games now cost $70. Now look, I get that inflation is a thing and I understand, but here's the thing. The games that cost $70 are games that don't deserve it. Like sports games for example. They're the same games but now they cost more, and don't tell me that there's improvement, because there's not. Then there's The Last of Us. It's supposed to be a remake but it's downgraded. It's supposed to be a remake but they removed the multiplayer, which is promised will be released later, but they cancelled it, and it costs $70. Now regarding the price, like I said, what matters is the quality of the games. As I mentioned, the launch of the games are really great, a massive improvement over the PlayStation 4. But unfortunately, so far we're in the fourth year, and so far we still haven't really seen games that take advantage of the PlayStation 5. Like so far, most of the games are cross-generation, like Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Gran Turismo 7, and God of War Ragnarok. The last two games weren't supposed to be on the PlayStation 4, but they were because of how low sales, because of the scaling problem. If you told me that God of War Ragnarok or Gran Turismo 7 are going to be cross-generation, I would have never believed my eyes. The reason they're cross-generation is because of how games have become more expensive to make, and because of the scalpers and shortages incidents that happened in the first 2 years. So that's why there was a lot more cross-generation than we have before. But the good news, however, is that these cross-generation and remasters have sort of upgrades. These upgrades basically let you play the original game. These upgrades basically let you upgrade to the new version or the current version for a price, or sometimes it's even free. Unfortunately, how much it costs can depend on the developer and this game. Like for example, the early Sony launch games were free. However, they decided to charge $10 for any upgrade after that. Like for example, Spider-Man Miles Morales is free, but Gran Turismo 7 has a $10 upgrade. And sometimes they can be locked behind the premium edition. This is mainly in sports games and Call of Duty games. Sometimes, however, this is also a developer's choice, so that means that some games don't even have this upgrade at all, like GTA 5. I should also let you know that while the games are great and we're slowly starting to see games that really show the next gen games, most of them are going to be on PCs, so you should be on the lookout for that, because some might consider it waste of money to spend on consoles now. Well, granted that some of the games in modern consoles are terrible, like the Suicide Squad game, but we have to wait and see because it's still worth it. And also regarding the console game cases themselves, you can obviously tell that these are recycled from the PlayStation 4 versions, but it's kind of weird, and I get it, but it's weird. Like, this is to save money and to make it that this is their game case, to make it that this is the PlayStation game case, but these game cases are cheap and the banner looks really ugly. I don't know why. Also find it weird that they spent so much money on making the console, but then they said no, we'll have to make the game kits as they are to save money. Also, maybe that's the games that I got, but for some reason they decided to switch the game disk location. Like for example, these games I got it here on the left as usual, but in Tekken 8 I got it on the right. Also, I should let you know that there's a camera release for the PlayStation 5. While it's great, it looks great, but I should let you know that unlike the other cameras for other consoles in the PlayStation market, this camera was designed mainly for streamers. You don't buy it for games, so don't buy it for Just Dance or anything. So overall, I think the PlayStation 5 is great, but if you have a PlayStation 4, you might want to wait. Like, it's a little more expensive, and most of its games are on the PlayStation 4 anyway, so maybe you should wait for your own good. But if you want to, or if you don't have a PlayStation 4, or if you're okay with spending money on it, then go for it. Let's summarize the good and the bad. The good: SSDs improved loading times and can be played for the PlayStation 4 games, backwards compatibility, a very unique design, and lots of amazing games like Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Returnal, so on. And now the bad: controllers can get broken easily, not many unique games that take advantage of the PlayStation 5, and a little expensive. So for that, I rate the PlayStation 5 an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for more.